The views expressed on this episode, as with all episodes of We Hate Your Baby Daddy, are based solely on our personal opinions and shit we heard in the streets.
The content here should not be taken as indisputable fact. This show is for entertainment purposes only, so enjoy and don't come for us.
Welcome back to another episode of We Hate Your Baby Daddy. And, it's just me again. But I mean, there has been so much that's been going on. I mean, I really initially I wanted to talk about Dave Grohl because I had a video that went slightly viral on our TikTok talking about what happened with him, but then Diddy got arrested Monday evening by the FBI, and so I want to talk about that. So I guess I'll mention both of them, but before I get into that, life update for me, I still do not have a job, but that's okay. I'm just like vibing. I have my days where I'm like sad, but then, I mean, whatever. I'll find something eventually, right? Um, I miss my co-host. So if you talk to her, tell her we miss her on the show. She just really wanted to take some time apart or away from the show and not like focus on her baby daddy situation, which I totally get. Makes sense. But we do miss her, miss kikiing with her every week. But anyway, yeah, nothing really else is going on in my life right now. It's just very quiet and boring. Um, just trying not to crash out every day over not having a job. Um, but yeah, if you love this show, please leave a review. I wanted to ask a little bit earlier on in the show, in the episode than I normally do, because I feel like our reviews are like there's not that many of them, and I feel like it's a great show. We have a lot of fans, so if you're listening to this, click those 5 stars and hit the follow button if you're not following the show. Subscribe to our subscriber only content if you haven't done that already. Buy some merch. Our merch website is linked in the show description. We have t-shirts and stickers and tote bags, so support the show. But yeah, let me go ahead and jump right into the episode. So let's talk about Diddy first. As you guys know, we did several episodes about that whole situation. We talked about his freak offs and how he is a danger to society. And, he has a bunch of kids that now that he's in jail, they have to figure out their own lives, which is very sad, but this is what happens when you're a piece of shit baby dad and you put your like lusts and disgusting desires ahead of your kids. So this is what happened. So Monday night, it would have been the 16th. So he got arrested by the FBI. He was in New York. They picked him up at a hotel and they charged him with racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution, which I'm sure they're just like throwing a bunch of stuff at him. Pretty sure transportation to engage in prostitution will probably get dropped, but racketeering is huge. And for any of you who don't know what racketeering means, so racketeering is part of what's known as a RICO case. You might have heard of a RICO case, RICO, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations RICO Act, which basically was invented to stop the mafia, back in the day, like to stop organized crime, because you would have these mob bosses that would order, their like minions to do things, and then they would be like, well, I'm innocent, like you got to get the minion, but really they're the mastermind, you know what I mean? So they created RICO to be able to stop people who are like the mastermind. And like a case like that, I mean, he is not sliding his way out of this one with all of his lube and baby oil that was found. 1,000 bottles of baby oil was found in his homes. Like, can you imagine what kind of sick freak you'd have to be? Drums of lube, thousands of bottles of baby oil. Like, what are you doing? Ew. Anyway, so there was a hearing and he pled not guilty and he was denied bail. The bill would have been like 50 million, but they denied it. So he is gonna stay in custody. Thank God the streets are safe tonight. So the DA's office in New York, the Southern District of New York, they were explaining the things that they found in Diddy's home when they did the initial raid earlier in the year. And the guy kept saying, he kept referring to the freak offs, which, if you listen to our Diddy episodes, you would know the freak offs is what he called his really disgusting sex parties. And so the guy, it was funny because he just kept saying it. He was like, we have evidence of freak offs. And actually, me and Dee were discussing this. She sent me a video of it. I was like, stop calling it that. Like, we get it. That's what he called it. But I'm like, can we just call it like it's something else? Like, just the idea of like freak off is like, ugh, making me sick. So anyway, he also has been having like some civil cases thrown at him. One of the former members of Danity Kane, who, if you guys remember, Diddy had a show called Making the Band where he created a band of singers. It was called Danity Kane, and they were really good. But I don't know, it just didn't really pan out, I think, because Diddy ruined their lives. But one of the girls who was in the group, Dawn Richard, she is accusing him of sexual harassment, and she just describes how he would like sexually assault her, like grab her, grope her, smack her butt, and like making like inappropriate comments about her body, saying she was too skinny, and basically he like tortured them. Like, he made them work out and rehearse for 48 hours without sleep, which is insane. 48 hours. And then she also mentions that she did witness him physically abusing Cassie, who, as you guys should remember, she kind of opened the floodgates for all of this with her initial civil suit where he paid her like well over $1 million. I don't remember how much it was, but everybody, I think there's a couple of people in Danity Kane who did sign NDAs, and then there's people in Danity Kane who did not. So Dawn Richards and a couple, like at least one other girl, did not sign NDAs, so they could, be free to speak about what happened. But the thing about NDAs, which a lot of people don't realize, is that you can't have someone sign an NDA that will cover up a crime. So if somebody's covering up a crime or like sexual harassment or something, or you're witnessing them beat the shit out of somebody, like you have a duty to still report that crime, and the NDA doesn't matter in that after that. So yeah, anyway, so Dawn, she just describes like, a bunch of violence that she witnessed and sexual harassment that she experienced, and it's really messed up. But yeah, so Diddy is in jail, thank God, and he doesn't have access to any lube and baby oil in there, as far as I know. So hopefully, the other people in there with him will be safe tonight. Who knows? But I think it's really interesting. There's been discourse on Twitter about like what people expect to come out of this case. A lot of people are saying they think like other big names, other big celebrities are gonna like get caught up in this. For example, people for some reason seem to think Jay-Z is gonna pop out in this. They're gonna be like, oh, Diddy's gonna take down everybody with him. People think Usher, because Diddy mentored him. They think he's gonna get caught up in this somehow. Justin Bieber. I mean, I really don't know. I have no idea what's gonna come out of this. But a lot of people are saying, especially 50 Cent. 50 Cent is like having the time of his life. If you listen to our 50 Cent episode, you know that he has certain people he really hates, and Diddy is one of them. And so he was asked in an interview or by a reporter, somebody asked him, "Why is there so much silence, among the music industry about this?" And he's like, "Because a lot of them were in on it too." And there's a bunch of tapes apparently that the feds found when Diddy was raided, and 50 Cent was like, they're probably gonna show up on those tapes too. So it really remains to be seen, but, this is We Hate Your Baby Daddy, and we will be updating you once we hear something. But, moving right along, I wanted to talk about Dave Grohl. So Dave Grohl is the lead singer of the Foo Fighters, and I believe he was also in Nirvana, right, in the 90s? Well, ooh, so this was, like, last week or so. He and I still cannot figure out why he would have thought this was a good idea. So, he fucking announced on Instagram that he was having an outside baby with somebody else, like, it was quite shocking, and and he said, here, let me read the message to you guys so you can see how unnecessary this was. He said, "I've recently become the father of a new baby daughter born outside of my marriage. I plan to be a loving and supportive parent to her. I love my wife and my children, and I'm doing everything I can to regain their trust and earn their forgiveness. We're grateful for your consideration toward all the children involved as we move forward together, Dave." And everybody's like, "Bro, you're 55 years old. Like, was that necessary? Was that necessary?" Nobody's checking for what Dave Grohl is doing. So if he had had an outside baby, he did not need to embarrass his wife and his children and make that kind of a post. Like, for what? Who was that for? You could have kept that. And so a lot of his fans have just been really pissed off because he always presented himself as like, such a good guy, as they always do. He's been married to his wife Jordan since 2003, and they have 3 kids together: Violet, 18, Harper, 15, and Ophelia, who is 10. And so, I mean, him having an outside baby like that, it's like you're cheating on your whole family. You're not just cheating on your wife, like, apparently. And so this is who he apparently has been cheating with. So there was a lot of speculation about who it possibly could have been. And um I accidentally posted something that I later found out was not true. It was screenshots of like an Instagram post somebody made saying like that they were 20 years old and they were Dave Grohl's mistress or whatever. Turns out that it wasn't true. Apparently he has been in a 15-year relationship with another woman, and 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 so this is why I'm like waiting for more information to come out, because people are saying it is a woman who is a porn star. Um, I'm not really sure, like, so the only people who are really reporting on this is like the Daily Mail, Page Six, like sketchier news publications. But so he was seen like out with this porn star or a porn publisher. I really don't know what she does in porn, but her name is Annalise Nielsen. She's 40 years old. So that would be a 15-year age gap between the two of them. So do the math on that. They've been together for 15 years. Um, they There was a photo that she posted of the two of them, and, I guess now he's been seen out with her, but it's just not really clear whether that's his baby mama or who actually is. So, I think all of that's gonna come out soon. But I think it's just so gross because when I was, doing some research about the situation, so Dave Grohl, he always presented himself as this like loving, like family guy, which as we can see, he was not. And he had written this song about his wife, Jordan, called Statues. And in his own words, he was saying, like, the statues represent the gravestones of a man and wife just dying next to each other, or like, like going on to the afterlife together, like all this dramatic shit. And I'm like, that's fucking diabolically embarrassing because again, he didn't have to announce. First of all, he shouldn't have been cheating. Second of all, you're 55 years old. You have 3 kids. You couldn't get a vasectomy. You couldn't wrap it up. You're a rock star. Condoms are free for you. They're just, people will just give them out to you. You can go ask one of your bandmates. But anyway, so all of that aside, he had written this song and other songs for her, but then was having a 15-year affair with somebody else and then gets her pregnant, I guess, at the end. I mean, who really knows? Like, more is gonna come out, and again, I will update you about it, but I'm just like, men will literally just embarrass you. Like, men will just embarrass you. I mean, you know how people say, like, the most embarrassing thing you can do is love a man? And this is why. Like, you can give them 3 kids and take care of them, try to grow old with them. She worked on his music videos with him, worked on music with him sometimes, and this is how he does her and their 3 kids. I mean, oh, really despicable, really, really despicable behavior, but that's men. And, I'm I feel like sometimes on the show, we do get really down on men, but I mean, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the news, but there's been so much like femicide and like female violence in the news. Like, there was a woman in France named Giselle who, and trigger warning, if you look this up, her husband was like drugging her at night, but not just drugging her. Like the drugs he was giving her was like Rohypnol, basically like the date rape drug. So she was basically like, in a coma for days at a time that she would not know what's going on. And he was just like having men come in and like take advantage of her. For 10 years he was doing this. And it was like men all in their town, which was a small town. So gross, that was one thing. Another girl, um her husband murdered her, and I think she was like Serbian. And so he murdered her, he like dismembered her, and then he put her partially into a blender to try to like puree her to make her disappear. Isn't that fucking sick? Like a blender. What? Ugh, disgusting. So then, with just all this stuff with like Diddy going on. And if you go on X, formerly known as Twitter, you will see like there's men defending everything, like saying about Diddy, for example, like, oh, you don't know the facts yet. Like, you got to wait for everything to come out. Like, I think we know quite a bit. Like, quite a bit of it is out there. So, trigger warning if you do your own research, but I mean, it's a crazy world that we live in. A lot of violence against women, and it's really hard to be on the internet and like learn these stories. It's like every day it's something new. It's really horrific, but all of that to say, I mean, there's just levels to just how despicable like women are treated all over the world. I mean, if you hear about what's going on in Afghanistan, like the Taliban has completely like reclaimed the country, and women aren't allowed to be heard like speaking or singing in public. They have to be completely covered from head to toe, cannot leave the house without a male escort, cannot go to school. I mean, it's basically like they're zombies. They're like the living dead over there. Like it's really fucking sad, and it's a huge like humanitarian crisis, but no one's doing anything about it because it's women. You know what I mean? If it was men, people I feel like would care more. It's just a really, really sad situation. But all of that to say, with these episodes that I've been doing myself, they are a little bit shorter. So that is pretty much all I had to say about Diddy and Dave Grohl and the state of women's rights in the world. But if you want to come be a guest on the show, as you guys have heard in past episodes, I've had tons of guests. I love having guests. Please feel free to reach out. I would love to have you. You can DM us on any of our social media platforms, Instagram, X, Facebook, wherever it's at WHY Baby Daddy Pod on all of our platforms. So feel free to reach out. Or if you just want to chit chat about anything, or like send us your story for me to like read on the show if you don't want to come on the show, totally up to you. But yeah, that's the episode. So I really appreciate you guys listening, and please do not forget to leave a review. And if you're an advertiser, if you want to advertise your business, reach out. We can talk about really, really cheap like product placement ads within the episode. So I really appreciate you guys sticking by while I figure out like the new formatting and everything of this show, which just suddenly became a solo act. Hopefully not for long, but you never know. So I appreciate you guys sticking by, and thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.